Hello and welcome to Around the Kitchen Table with Tullahoma's Entrepreneurs. I'm Lane Curlee, the part-time, long-time mayor of Tullahoma. As I hope you know, each year I introduce a different community initiative. Things like Go Green Tullahoma, Get Fit Tullahoma, and the Tourism Council, and the Arts Council, and others. Well, this year I want to focus the community on entrepreneurism. So, with the emphasis on entrepreneurism, so what is an entrepreneur? So entrepreneurs are the makers, the doers, the hustlers, the risk takers, and the dreamers. And they bring a vibrancy to our community. They turn ideas into reality, and they create jobs. They're the founders who invest their own blood, sweat, and tears. And oftentimes their ideas start around the kitchen table, just like this. We have hundreds of successful entrepreneurs in Tullahoma. We need to welcome, encourage, support, and even celebrate our entrepreneurs. And a goal of mine this year is to make Tullahoma Tennessee's rural entrepreneurial capital and the city of opportunity and innovation. So each week, I want to introduce you to a different Tullahoma entrepreneur, someone that has put his or her money at risk and created jobs. And it's important that we support our local entrepreneurs. So my guest today is Derek Mann, who recently opened a business in Tullahoma called Minuteman Press. So I believe Eric will be able to shed a little light on the process of starting the business and how he arrived at the decision. So welcome, Derek. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
So first of all, Derek, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from Franklin County. I've lived in Tullahoma for about 8 years. Took a brief sojourn to Murfreesboro and came back. We moved back here 4 years ago. Tullahoma has been kind of my adopted home. All my friends are here, lots of family here. My mother was actually from here. And when I met my fiance, who is from Fort Lauderdale, she actually fell in love with Tullahoma and said of anywhere in Tennessee, and she lived in Franklin at the time, Tullahoma was where she'd like to settle down and raise a family. So that was fine with me, and so we came back here, and about a year ago we started looking for a building and considering opening Minuteman Press to add to our existing business. And Tullahoma, it was a no-brainer decision to be right here.
Yeah, good. So, but now you've been involved in other businesses in the years past. Share with the audience a little bit about your background from that standpoint.
So, when I was 20 years old, I actually started the publishing company that I have, Design Works Media. It started with a small horse magazine that covered Tennessee walking horses right up the road in Shelbyville. And today we actually publish a magazine called Show Horse Magazine, which covers American saddlebreds, Friesians, Hackney ponies, and Morgan horses, and goes to almost every state as well as overseas to the UK and South Africa. So we're very proud to do that. We've been doing Show Horse now. It's in its going on its 10th year next year publication, and we're really proud of that. So I dabbled in a few other things too. I had a restaurant at one time, and business is kind of in the blood. My family's been in, my father has the family business, my grandfather before him, so it was...
Now they were entrepreneurs as well.
They were. Right? My grandfather actually started building houses, started Frank Mann Home Builders 67 years ago. Here in Tullahoma.
Yeah, right.
He built a lot of the homes in Terra Estates along Country Club, several of the buildings on North Jackson Street. And when he passed, my father took it over, and so like I said, I think it's 67 years they've been building houses. So I grew up in a household, you know, where my grandfather was in business for himself, my father, and took the business really in a very different direction. And so it was just kind of, that's what we do, you know.
So I'm interested, so you were 20 years old, you started your first publishing business. So what was that like?
You know, when you start something, and I was 20 years old, but probably looked 13, so that was a little bit of a challenge to get people to take you serious. But that was probably my biggest challenge then. But there are other things, you know, folks. You can go to college and you can get a degree, and that's what you're going to do, and certainly that's a great help in whatever field you choose. But when you start a business, education helps. But there's just going to be a whole new education you're going to get, and everything from cash flow to delivering on time, to self-motivation, because it's up to you when you get up in the morning, and it's up to you when you leave the office at night. And so those are the things you learn, and especially at the age of 20, it was quite an experience. But I had some really great customers and was very fortunate, and yeah, we're still doing it today.
Yeah. So did you have a particular job when you were a teenager that maybe prompted this entrepreneurial spirit or something?
You know, I did actually. When I was in high school, when I turned 16, I wanted to get a job, and my parents were adamant that school came first, and then in the summer I could have a job. So in the summer I went to work for Margaret Lynch with Lynch and Rigsby Real Estate in Winchester. And Margaret was a great mentor. She was someone that I got to watch at 16 years old, even though I had no idea what I was going to do in life. To be able to watch her and just to run her business, to, you know, she would sell 3 houses, write up contracts, manage the office, and then somehow still find time to go and take a meal to someone who maybe had lost a loved one that evening. I mean, it was just, she was a machine, and she was great at what she did, and she was kind to everybody, and really showed me a lot of qualities that I wanted to have should I ever be in her position. So watching her do it, she did make it look easy, but you know, it's clearly not. But yeah, having that, and then I had a very good teacher in high school, an art teacher, that kind of encouraged my creativity, kind of encouraged me to learn computer design and some of the things that go with what we do, and that was kind of a good start. So, so yeah, a lot of different folks played a big part.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So, but you mentioned a restaurant, you mentioned some other publishing. Not everything works out, does it?
It does not.
I mean, entrepreneurial, that's a tough, it's sometimes going to be a tough thing to do.
It is, and you know, I tell everyone, and this quote has always meant a lot to me, and I think it was Winston Churchill who said it, that success is not final, failure is not fatal, it's the courage to continue that counts. And so if you do something and it doesn't work, don't let that be it. You know, if you do something and it does work, it's not always going to. You've got to keep pushing. So, you know, there's no finish line when you're in this, but you know, you just got to keep running the race. That's what it's all about.
Okay, so let's talk about Minuteman Press for a little bit. We got some video earlier this week.
Sure.
So let's watch the video and tell us a little bit about what Minuteman Press does.
Absolutely. So Minuteman Press, we have over 900 stores internationally and here in North America. And we do everything from printing. Most people know us for the printing. We also do custom apparel, trophies and awards, large-scale printing, signage. We do direct mail. Anything you can put a logo on, like promotional products, we actually do. And we do a lot of it right here in Tullahoma. We're very fortunate to have the facility we have on North Jackson Street. It's a great location. There you can see, kind of in our lobby, some of the things we've done so far. We've done a few things for Motlow State, for some of the local radio stations with Bowman Media. We've been so fortunate to have some really great clients and customers here in Tullahoma. Again, with all the customized products we can do, anything from like the chairs, trophies and awards, I think I mentioned mugs, uniforms. It's really neat. That's the fun part of the job, is every day you get to go in and we're doing something different. So it's a great business, and it was kind of a natural move from the publishing, because even though we didn't print our own products, we have to know a lot about print. What you see now, the black machine there, that is actually our outdoor wide format printer. We would do things like vehicle wraps, signage, different projects on that. There's some of our other presses, our Xerox presses we have. We have another Epson wide format in there as well. In the back you can see our embroidery and custom apparel area. We're expanding into another part of the building with our t-shirts that we're about to start offering. Screen printed t-shirts, quick turnaround, no minimums. We're excited about that. And then that's actually Crystal. She's one of our graphic designers. She's very talented. She's been with me for going on 10 years. This is the actual embroidery machine, stitching a shirt on there. That was a lot of fun getting in the building, because it came in one piece and it did not break down. It was one large piece that you had to get through the door. So Those shirts are actually for a restaurant in Huntsville, Alabama, that's about to be opening.
So let's talk about who is your customer.
So our customers, they vary. We're very fortunate. We have a lot of big customers, out-of-state customers. KMT Waterjet is an international company. We provide all the uniforms for their sales teams in Shanghai, China, and Frankfurt, Germany, as well as in the States.
Good grief.
We do all of their printing, their trade show products. We actually work with a couple different restaurant chains. We do everything from the order pads that they do to their uniforms, to the merchandise in their gift shops. We work with a lot of colleges. Alabama A&M is a good customer of ours. Motlow State Athletics are a great customer of ours. So we get to work with some of those big customers, but then we've got a lot of small jobs and a lot of local folks, and those are rewarding jobs, and we can do those just as well as we can do the big jobs. And we had a gentleman, he actually wrote a book right here in Tullahoma, and we were able to print him a few copies to take with him to meet with a publisher in Boston. So, you know, it's really neat what comes through the door. Everything's got a story. Everyone's got an event or something special that they're doing it for. So it's a lot of fun.
So you mentioned there are 900 franchisees across the world, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So tell our viewers, what's the benefit of having a franchise? I mean, why did you not just go out and buy this equipment and do things on your own?
Sure, and you know, we looked at that. So when we had the publishing business, we wanted to be able to do take some of our printing back in-house instead of sending it out. And we looked at it, and the equipment pricing, the supplies pricing, all the pricing was so much more for one business to buy. Now when we buy, we're buying on behalf of 900 stores, and it makes a big difference, and we're able to take those savings and pass it on to our customers. The other thing with a franchise is the support. When we met with Minuteman, they were so supportive. You kind of wondered, is this going to continue after we buy it? And it has tenfold. They will come down about every 2 weeks. They'll send one of the regional reps down. They'll work in the shop side by side with our folks, help us out if there's a problem. If we have a vendor that's not delivering on time, or if there's an issue, we just turn it over to them. They help us with hiring. It's such a great support network. And if we have a machine go down, we know that the store in Huntsville or the store in Franklin, they've got our back, and we can still get you what you need in a very timely manner with them. So it's good to be part of that team, and we definitely reap the rewards of being part of it.
You know, Derek, I subscribe to a couple of magazines, Inc. and Entrepreneur, and oftentimes in the back of the magazine and other places, they'll feature different franchises. And actually, my wife and I own a couple of franchises as well, and we have found over the years that owning the franchise is a pretty good way to jumpstart your business.
It is.
And so folks that might be watching, you know, there's literally thousands of franchise opportunities out there.
It's overwhelming when you look at what's out there. And actually, I've got to give credit to my fiance Katie and business partner, because she actually found Minuteman, and she said, why not, instead of trying to do all this ourselves and spending 3 years trying to get to where we would be day one with a franchise. And that's the truth. It would take us years to get to where we're at. An example, Buddy Hart, who used to own a sign shop in Shelbyville, he's now our sign specialist. He does all our signage work. We're glad to have him on the team. And Buddy called his sign supplier, which is also our supplier, to purchase some materials. And it was a third of the price to buy through Minuteman than he had been paying, and he was in business for 20 years. And so it's that buying power, you know, and you can really pass along those savings. And this is an industry that everyone has a need for one of these products at some point. Maybe it's something as small as business cards, something as big as wrapping all the walls in print in your building. But, you know, being able to be cost effective, being able to have a great turnaround time, which is something I'm very proud of the fact we're able to do, that's important to me, because having the other business and buying these products, I know how frustrating it can be to wait, to have those long wait times. So that's being part of a franchise is being part of a family. And if you get the right one, it's a great move.
Sure. So you've located your business in downtown Tullahoma. Thank you very much. So why did you choose downtown?
So downtown Tullahoma, downtown Tullahoma kind of is the most Tullahoma part of Tullahoma. You've got so many of those old businesses that have been there for so long, those Tullahoma icons like Couches and Clayton's Shoes. And then you've got some of our most original restaurants, Daddy Belly's and London's and 22 West, and the great ice cream shops that we have downtown. So it's really great to be right there and part of that group, and to be walking distance from some of these businesses at
You're making me
lunchtime.
hungry. So, yeah.
So you know, I'm proud to be in the downtown area. It's great exposure. You've got great neighbors all around you. So it's a great place. We're very fortunate to be there.
So let's talk a little bit about your business and sort of how you got it started. You've took some risk, I'm sure.
Sure.
The equipment that we saw a few minutes ago is not inexpensive, I'm sure. So what was the biggest risk that you took? And I'm not asking anything proprietary. Please understand that.
No.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest risk, you look at how are people going to respond to the business. You know, you think you know, you talk to folks. And you try and get a good idea. You're also taking the risk, you know, with the publishing company and the magazine. It does very well, and we're very blessed with that. And so you wonder, is this going to take time and attention, valuable resources away? There's also the personal side of it. You know, when you're in a relationship, when you have a spouse, when you have family, this is going to take you away from them a lot. And there's going to be strain, and there's going to be a lot of time management, you know, things that you've got to figure out. So there's a lot of risk. You know, when we talk risk, we think typically about the financial risk, you know, purchasing the equipment, you know, making the right decisions in how you do it, leasing versus buying and things like that. But there's also the personal risk. You know, it's tough. Yeah. You are typically the first one there and the last one to leave. And weekends are all of a sudden not time off. A lot of times you're working then too.
So you don't show up 5 minutes before the door opens and leave when?
No, you know.
So I think some people don't understand. Entrepreneurs have a great commitment to their business oftentimes. Yeah.
They do. It's, you know, the good part of it is yes, you do get a lot of freedom in a lot of ways. But then there's the other side to it, and that is you're on call 24/7. I think my first day off, once we opened Minuteman Press, was the 4th of July. And I said, we're going to close, we're going to take July 4th off, and I think the 5th as well. And in the middle of the night, at 2 in the morning, the burglary alarm went off at the building. And so even though it was my day off had started, you know, and it turns out it was a malfunction, and, you know, then you've got to fix that. And so, you know, it's going to be the little things, it's going to be the things you don't expect, but there's always something wanting and demanding your attention with it. And when you start, it does need that. But at the same time, you got to remember, you know, to give that attention to, you know, your spouse, your family, your friends, and not lose sight of the big picture too.
So what's the biggest challenge you've faced, and then how did you overcome that challenge as an entrepreneur?
You know, when we launched Show Horse Magazine, it was in 2011 at the height of the recession. Not many people were saying, let me go out and take a risk at that time, even though there is a lot of opportunity typically in those moments. But we had, and it was actually a joint risk. Mike Rowland at First Vision Bank, he took a chance on us at a time when many banks weren't taking many chances, and he took a chance on us and really gave us that shot. And you know, we didn't want to let him down, because to find someone like that who's certainly got their own things they're concerned about with their bank and their business, you know, you don't want to let them down. So certainly that was the shakiest of times, you know, that first year, not the uncertainty, you know, everyone was gloom and doom, but you know, we just buckled down, we did our thing. If everyone does their job, you know, it all comes together great. You can't control. Right. You know, that's probably one of my biggest pieces of advice to anyone is, put in one pile what you can control. Fix those things. The things you can't, that are way out of your control, put them in another pile and just don't worry about it. Because if you fix the things you can, a lot of times those other things just seem to fall into place. And you've got to be able to do that. Otherwise you won't sleep.
Sure. Great advice. Great advice. So where do you see your business 5 years from now?
You know, we've got some ambitious plans. 5 years from now, we hope to continue expanding our production here. We want to add some new equipment, some new machines that really you don't even see south of Nashville at any print facilities, and we want to start phasing those in gradually. We want to be able to open a new store in Murfreesboro in the next 5 years,
Wow.
possibly Chattanooga. We're kind of looking at both, but we want to keep the production here in Tullahoma, and we want to be able to expand here in Tullahoma. And actually opening these storefronts will create jobs here in Tullahoma on the production side of things.
Yeah,
so we've got a good start, a good foothold here, and the community has really embraced us. It's really surprised me just how great everyone's been to work for, to work with, and to give us a shot and help them out with their printing and promotional needs. So we hope in 5 years to have, like I said, another location, expand into one here, and see what happens from there.
Good, that's exciting. So there might be some folks watching that have a dream of being an entrepreneur, of starting their own business. So what advice would you give someone that's not quite at that stage? What do they need to be thinking or doing?
You know, I would say this. I talk to a lot of folks who have a lot of good ideas, and they say, you know, if I ever started a business, I would do this. We live in the United States of America, and we have the opportunity to start our own business, to own our own business, and to give, you know, a good job to our employees, to work with our communities. And that opportunity shouldn't be squandered. If you have an idea, if you're right there, you know, take the chance, take the risk, because we do live in the greatest country in the world to be able to do this with. But plan it, you know, think hard, plan it. Your biggest problem when you first start is going to be the one thing you never could imagine. And it may be something small in the grand scheme of things, but it's that one thing you didn't plan for. And so prepare for the unexpected, you know, have a good support system around you, and you know, those things come together with a good idea. Sometimes even with bad ideas can do well. But you know, and take the opportunity, take the chance, find you a good relationship with a bank or financial institution. One of the biggest things, get a good accountant that you like, because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. So you know, just check those boxes, get to know your city, get involved in your community. One of the biggest things I'm a believer in, when I went into business for myself at 20, my mother told me, she said, now, this isn't just about you, this isn't just about the business. You need to get involved with your community, you need to give back, because you're being very blessed. The infrastructure that's where you're at, the things that you're taking advantage of, anything from the roads to, you know, the tax breaks, or whatever the incentives are in the community, you know, that is something that's helping your business. You need to find ways to give back to. That's just part of it. And so get involved, get in a group like the Kiwanis or the Lions Club or Rotary. Get involved just yourself. You know, you found a lot of ways yourself to give back to the community, and so find something like that. Get involved, stay involved, learn your city government, get to know your city officials, and get along with them, and those things, and you'll be surprised at how much that helps, regardless of what your business is.
Yeah, great advice. And you've had clearly a very strong support system throughout your career so far, so congratulations. But now someone is watching and they're wondering, you know, do I really have what it takes? Do I have the attributes? What attributes do you think, thinking about your own career, what attributes do you think are most important for someone to have a success as an entrepreneur?
You know, whatever it is you're going to do, if you're thinking about getting into having a bookstore, you're thinking about getting into having a car repair shop, whatever you're thinking about doing, have a passion for it. You've got to have passion, because there are days when maybe the numbers aren't so good. Maybe you've had a disgruntled customer. Maybe just everything is breaking your way. And there are days that passion is going to be the only thing that keeps you going into the next day. So have a passion for what you're going to do. Enjoy it. Have an interest in it. Never stop learning about it. Those are the things, a desire to learn, a passion for what you're doing, that will keep you going, because everything changes. In our industry, a lot of people say, oh, print's on the decline. Print is actually bigger than it ever has been and is growing every year. It's just in different ways.
Sure.
So everything is going to change. Be adaptable to change. Don't be so boxed in that you can't, adapt to change. Be open to it. And don't take it all too serious.
Yeah.
Enjoy life. Enjoy the people you work with. The people you hire, should be good at their jobs, should be committed to their jobs, but should also be someone you like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because you're going to spend a lot of time with them.
Right.
And so we try and have that kind of atmosphere in both businesses. And I want to know you. I want to know your family. And so take time for those things too. But definitely, I would say passion is probably what it all boils down to.
I agree 100%. Also, perseverance, as you mentioned early on. All of us confront challenges during the day. And if you have a habit of just saying, well, I give up and walk away, you might not be ready to be an entrepreneur. Because it takes a certain amount of perseverance. So what challenges you, what inspires you to just get up every day and do your thing?
I think it's, you never know what's waiting on you. And you never know what jobs are going to come in, what folks you're going to get to meet. A lot of my longtime friendships have come from business relationships that have developed into that. My father, every client he ever meets with to build their home, he tells them the same thing. And he says, at the end of this, I want us to be friends. And actually some of my parents' closest friends over the years have been clients first. And that they've remained friends with many, many years after we built their home. So I think that's a good attitude to have. If you go out there and you're forming relationships with the people you're working for and working with, it just makes it so rewarding. And that's kind of one of those things that make you look forward to it, to make you look forward to going in each and every day. So. Yeah,
that's neat. So what would you say the biggest lesson you've learned in life, in your career?
It is, like I mentioned the quote earlier, that it's just having that will to continue to keep going, always being ambitious, always looking towards the next thing, never settling, always wanting to do more. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to open 5 businesses. Maybe you're just expanding your own. Maybe you're just learning more about your own, adding different services, things like that, or just enriching your own self with what you know and what you learn. So, those are some of the things that I think it's easy to lose sight of once you're in it, but never get complacent. And I think maybe that's kind of the short thing I'm trying to say here. Never get complacent with what you're doing. Always find new ways to have an interest in it, to keep going, to keep persevering.
Yeah. Well, that's a great advice. Derek, I really appreciate your time today. You've done a super job. I wish you all the best in the world in your endeavors. I know you'll do well. And perhaps someone that's watching today has an interest in becoming an entrepreneur or want to pursue their own dream. So hopefully this is sort of giving you some information that you can help make your own decision and pursue your dreams. So good luck, and we'll see you next time.